Hi there, I'm Becca from The Uncaged Life, and I'm popping in today because I've been talking to Tad a lot about retreats. And he said that a lot of his folks are super interested in running retreats, and I wanted to do a quick little video to give you a couple of my best tips if you're planning on running retreats in your business. Um, so I'm specifically talking about retreats that are smaller, so 8 to 20 people-ish. Not necessarily talking about running large conference-style events where you have a lot of different speakers. This isn't quite that. But if you are a coach or a healer, a teacher of some kind, and you want to take a small group away somewhere, either for a weekend or a week long, or whether you want to take them locally or somewhere international, these tips should help you. So some of the biggest mistakes that I see first-time retreat leaders making, I want to run through them. There's 5 major mistakes that I see happening a lot. The first one, by the way, my dog might run in the video and say hi, so ample warning. The first mistake that I see a lot of retreat leaders making is not planning far enough in advance. I would say that it probably takes 6 to 12 months to properly plan a retreat. What I see a lot of people doing is going, I want to run a retreat in March. Okay, well, it's December. And then they scurry to get everything done. They don't have enough time to actually secure the venue that they want, let alone market the retreat. So they often they end up making hasty decisions, throwing down money for venues, and then realizing they don't actually have enough time to market it, and they end up losing money, and that sucks. So one of the ways to avoid this is to give yourself lots and lots of time. So my usual guidelines, if you are running a retreat locally, locally and a smaller retreat, so maybe like a weekend long retreat, you can plan about 4 months in advance, 4 to 6 months, I would say, just to give yourself some time. And if you're planning something international, especially if you're going for a week-long retreat at a popular retreat venue, you want to give yourself 6 to 12 months in advance to plan your retreat. It's not that the actual planning is going to take you a year. It's more so that the venues get booked up really, really quickly, and you don't want to be scrambling to find a venue and have to take your last choice, right? We want to get you a good venue, so the further in advance you plan, the more likely you are to secure a venue of your choice. And then the more time you actually have to market the retreat, which is actually what's going to take up the most of your time and the most of your effort. Okay, the second thing that I see, second big mistake that I see a lot of new retreat leaders doing is paying too much money out of pocket. So if you hear horror stories of people who ran retreats or tried to run retreats and lost a bunch of money, this is usually what happens. They end up finding a venue, laying down the deposit in their own cash, and then going to market the retreat, and either they don't have enough of a list, which we'll talk about in a second, or they don't do proper marketing and they don't fill their spots. They have to cancel their retreat, but they've already paid the deposit, and they end up losing that money out of pocket. And that sucks, so we don't want that to happen. So the way to avoid this is to make sure that the venue that you're going to will hold the spot for you while you start to sell the retreat. So this is really important. So you'll actually start pre-selling seats to your retreat. You'll take that money and then you'll pay the venue. So you're never actually paying any money out of pocket. Super important for you to not lose money. Third biggest mistake that I see people making is simply running retreats too early in their business. So this means that you have an idea for a retreat. You're like, this sounds great. But when you go to market it, you actually don't have anyone to sell it to. You have not that many existing clients. You don't have an email list or any kind of network built up. You don't have anyone following you on Facebook, not that they're necessarily going to be your retreat participants, but kind of as a whole, you just don't really have a great base yet in your business. This usually happens if you're new to business. I've seen this a lot with coaches who get really, really excited about running retreats. They go to plan one and then they realize, I have no idea who to sell this to. So my kind of litmus test for if your business is ready is if you can think of about 5 people right now that would say yes to your retreat, you're probably good to go. So if you could send out a couple personal invites and fill this retreat pretty easily that way, then ace, start planning your retreat. If you can't think of 5 people, it probably means that you're not quite ready yet. So you want to take a little bit more time to do some marketing for your business as a whole, build up your list, build up your network, and then start to plan your retreat. It doesn't have to take that long. 6 months to a year can be a really good amount of time for you to start building and actually help you build up the base to get retreat ready. Okay, one of the other big mistakes that I see retreat leaders making is when they're actually planning their itinerary for the retreat, they are scheduling way too much or not enough. So there's kind of 2 types of retreats. There's more of like the work style retreat. So if you do like business coaching or marketing or writing, and you want to have people come away with you and actually focus on some kind of work, You definitely want to have enough workshop time or sort of group coaching time where you're actually working on that thing together. This can happen. The mistake here can happen is if you promise people to come and do a bunch of work and then you actually have so much free time. You maybe do 1 or 2 actual workshops and the rest is free time. They feel like they kind of get gypped because they're coming for that specific content focus and you're not giving it to them. So that's no good. On the other side, if they're coming for what's more of a fun kind of vacation-y retreat, I have a friend who runs life coaching retreats for single women all over the world, super fun locations. It's not super coachy. It's meant to just be a way for single women to get together and have some really great conversations about love and life and explore a new place. I know she's experimented with her scheduling a lot and found that if she packed in too much coaching time, it just felt a little bit heavy for what the actual theme of the retreat was. So a fun kind of vacation-y retreat needs to be a little bit more spacious, where a retreat where you're focusing on specific content needs to have more of a container and scheduled time together. So packing your itinerary either too loose or too tight is something that's really important to remember when you're planning your retreat. And also remembering that discussion takes a long time and is a huge, huge part of any part of a retreat. Just giving people time to connect, to share ideas, to share thoughts, to brainstorm. Especially if you're doing any kind of workshops, plan about half the content that you think you're going to need and allow the rest of that time to be filled up with rich discussion. And it's going to have way more of an impact on your retreat participants than just teaching and not actually leaving any time for them to absorb it and share what they're learning. All right, and the last big mistake that a lot of my new retreat planners make is not putting enough energy into marketing. So they really kind of downplay how much marketing it's actually going to take to fill it. The planning is the easy part. Being on the retreat is the easiest part. The marketing is the hardest part. And I don't want to lie and say it's super easy to fill your retreat, no problem. There are definitely some tips and tricks that you can use to help you fill your retreat. But you definitely want to give yourself lots and lots of time to do that. I usually say to open your retreat registration anywhere from 4 to 6 months in advance from the actual retreat, especially if you're going overseas. Some of your participants might need to get visas and passports. Most people have a full-time job or a family or a business that they're tending to, and they can't just pick up and leave. So they need to plan well in advance. There's no harm in opening it up early. And using a lot of different marketing strategies. So instead of just emailing your email list a bunch of times about it, you want to make sure that you're really marketing it in a lot of different ways. So social media is one, using your email list is one, sending out personal invites is a huge one. Most people that I know, myself included, have almost filled our retreats with just personal invites. So invites, getting people to send people your way, so asking people straight up for referrals is a really good way. Blogging, doing webinars, giving free talks, just networking in general. So you really want to make sure that you're kind of like hitting all the marketing pieces across the board to fill your retreat. Retreats are usually high ticket items. They happen at specific times of the year. It's asking a lot of people to fly away and leave their life for X amount of time, or drive away if you're doing a local retreat. It's still a lot of time and a lot of investment energetically and financially for people. So you definitely want to be marketing for a longer time and using as many different marketing strategies as you can to fill your retreat. So this is some of my quick tips, quickest ways that I have seen to help make sure that you're going to run a profitable and transformational retreat. There's a lot of other things to learn about retreats. There's so much. I have a new course. I think Tad's going to list it in the comments here if you want to check that out. There's tons to learn. I totally encourage you, if you've been dreaming about retreats, it's totally possible. You can do it probably sooner than you think. Just make sure that your business is ready. Make sure to be smart about it. Don't lose any money out of pocket. And give yourself lots and lots of time to plan and market. And you'll definitely be able to pull off a successful retreat. Thanks so much. Hope this was helpful, and I'll see you around. Bye.